Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Close the gates of your palace, your ba'ith, your hall, your ohel, your tent, your mishkan, your mikdash. The body that you dwell inside, the sentient self that you dwell inside. Bring your body to center. Bring your mind to center. Bring your thoughts in your mind. And that it may be your personality and fronts between your eyes at the bar. Close the goals of your mind. For today is the day of freedom. Today is the day that Yahuwah has given to us as another shabath, that we may cease from our labors and our own selfish self and our own ways and our own thoughts and our own mind. And we may fix our mind totally in a 364-day cycle on Yahuwah Elohim, in the highest Shamayim above all Elohims and all alls and all gods of the earth. For today we acknowledge him who sits on his throne, his Kisei, his superior throne above us, and we are at his feet, knowing that being at his feet is a privilege, and to understand him as a son and daughter is a privilege, and it's not given to everyone. It's only given to those who will acknowledge him, the ones who will call on him, the one who will allow him to work his works in your life, Yahuwah Elohim. So as we move forward with the one who made all of the mountains and the streams and the rivers under the earth and the rivers and streams that come even from his throne, and the water that flows from his his clouds that may water and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness, knowing that that window must be open and wash us from thoroughly in order for one to enter in properly into his kingdom, into his malkut. So as we move forward in a haba, which binds everything together in a harmon, a perfect harmonic frequency of love in a haba. This is Tahalim Psalms chapter 139 and 1. Psalms Tahalim chapter 139 and 1. Psalms Tahalim chapter 139 and 1. O Yahuwah, you have searched me and known me. So Yahuwah, he said, you've searched me and known me. Right? Because you know what Yahusha said. He said, many gonna come around and say, Abba, or Master, haven't we not cast out demons in your name, done many marvelous works in your name, and many things? He said, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you. Or you workers of lawlessness. It says, oh Yahuwah, you have searched me and known me. That's the only way he's gonna know you. He's gonna search your inward parts, your kidneys, your livers, your mind, your consciousness. He's gonna search your DNA. He's going to search your DNA all the way down from your lineage, from the time you came into this world, from your mother, when you came out of your mother's womb, between her feet, all the way to the time to today. And he's going to search you out. Just like any other thing that you get in this world, when you become rich, the poor are going to search you out to see if you're actually genuine or not. See if you're actually a giving and loving and compassionate person. They're going to search you out. And when they find you not, they're going to what? They're going to slander you. They're going to gossip about you, and they're going to make up things about you. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. We're sitting down now, but he said, I know when you rise up too. He said, you know everything. You discern my thoughts from afar. He said, you discern it from afar. That's why Yahusha said he perceives in his mind. Does this also offend you in knowing their thoughts? He said, he know your thoughts. Your makashba, your yeser. You searched out my path and my lying down, and are acquainted with all my ways. He said, you're acquainted with all my ways, even the good, the evil parts, the raw, and the good. But guess what? Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Yahuwah, you know it all together. He said, I already know what you're getting ready to say before you say it. Because he's past, he the Aleph and the Two. Matter of fact, he past, present, and future. He can go time travel. He can travel in the future. You know how you say you got time travel? That's what he can do. He can go in the future, find out what you get ready to say before you say it. You hem me in behind and before. He said, you got me enclosed in every single way. And lay your hand upon me, you lay your yard upon me. It's just like a parent in a home. Yeah, some people, they close you in and they say, he lay your yard upon me. And guess what he does? Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. This is what I wanted. Where shall I go from your Ruach? He said, so where shall I go from your Ruach? You know, you say, I want to escape and run from his Ruach. He said, where am I going to go from his Ruach, though? Or where shall I flee from your presence? Where am I going to run to? If I ascend to Shamayim, you are there. If I go to the Shamayim, to the Shabayim Shamayim, you there. He said, you there. Even in the Rakia, you there. Guess what? If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I go to Hades, Sheol, and Tartarus, and to the other dimensions, guess what? You there too. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, if I start flying like a bird, like an eagle, like a kanaf, and I take and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, if I want to go underwater. It matters amazing, you got birds that can do that. Just like the seagull. Seagull fly in the air and it just dive right in the water. You'd be like, how they can do that? You got birds that can swim underwater too. And guess what? Even there, your hand shall lead me, and your right hand, your yard, shall hold me. If I say, surely darkness shall cover me, the light about me be night. Even darkness is not dark to you. The night is bright as the day, for the darkness is as light with you. Why? Because that's all a part of it. Right, this is ascension of Yeshayahu. Ascension of Yeshayahu. This is the ascension of Yeshayahu. This is the ascension of Yeshayahu. This is ascension of Yeshayahu, chapter 3. Ascension of Yeshayahu, chapter 3. Get there. Ascension of Yeshayahu, chapter 3 and verse 1. Ascension of Yeshayahu, chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, and Belkiri recognized and saw the place of Yeshayahu and the Nabi'im who were with him, for he dwelt in the regions of Bethlachem, and was adherent of Manasseh, and he nabbared falsely in Jerusalem. And many belonging to Jerusalem were confederate with him, and he was a Samaritan. Why? Because you see all these people, when you have a certain gift, everybody's going to follow you around. They're going to try to find out who you are and what you're doing. But guess what? And it came to pass when Zagar, king of Assyria, had come captive, he led them away to the mountain of the Medes and the river of Teshon. This Belkira, while still a youth, had escaped and come to Jerusalem in the day of Qahalath, king of Yahuda, but he walked not in the ways of his father, in the ways of his father of Samaria, for he feared Qahalath. And he was found in the day of Qahalath speaking words of lawlessness in Jerusalem. He said he was found speaking words of lawlessness in Jerusalem. That's what you see today. In man and woman. That's what you see today. In their heart, in their mind, they even think it. And the servants of Qahalath accused him. He made his escape to the region of Bethlachem, and they persuaded. And Belkira accused Yeshayahu and the Nabi'im who are with him, saying, Yeshayahu and those who are with him nabba against Jerusalem and against the cities of Yehuda, that they shall be laid waste, and against the children of Yehuda and Benjamin also, they shall go into captivity, and also against thee, O Yahuwah, the king, that thou go bound with hooks and iron chains. See, when Yahuwah sends you to do something, when he tells you to tell some people stuff, most likely it's going to be against everything they're doing. Because everything they're doing is actually against him. Because remember, Yahuwah is observing all the things that you're doing, and he's looking at everything how you're operating and how your mindset is. Right, skipping over to verse 10. Know therefore, O king, that he is lying. In Jerusalem also he hath called Sodom, and the prince of Yehuda, Jerusalem, he hath declared to be the people of Gomorrah. He's like, you literally telling all of us that we Sodom and Gomorrah. Jerusalem itself, Yasharal and Yehuda. And he brought many accusations against Yeshayahu and the Nabi'im before Manasseh. That's what they're doing now. When you start talking about certain things, they're already talking about you. They're talking about everything you've said and everything that you've already brought up about what their judgment is going to be. And they're already talking about you. But guess what? But Baalar dwelt in the heart of Manasseh, Satan, Shaitan. See, this is what happens. When Satan inside of you, when Shaitan is inside of you, you say, Shaitan doesn't exist. Mustama doesn't exist. His demons don't exist. That's what they want you to believe. But it says, but Baalar dwelt in the heart of Manasseh and in the heart of the princes of Yehuda and Benjamin and of the eunuchs and of the counselors of the king. So that means everybody got Shaitan on the inside of their heart and their mind. And they all talking about Yeshayahu and the Nabi'im. They all confederate together. But Daud, we just read, Daud said, you know my thoughts. You knew them before you knew the words I was going to say before I even said it. And guess what it says? Go on to verse 12. And the words of Berechiah pleased him exceedingly, and he sent and seized Yeshayahu. That's what they're going to do. Why? Because what happens? When everybody's confederate and everybody feels like they have something on you, or they feel like this is something that's going to take him down, that's what they do. They come and seize you. Why do you think they came to get Yahusha in Yuchanan chapter 18? Why do you think they came to him at night? But guess what? For Baalar was great. It says, for Baalar was in great wrath against Yeshayahu because of what? Because by reason of the vision. Oh. By reason of the vision. Because of what he saw. Because of what he knew. That's the only reason they're coming after you. Because of what you saw and what you know. See, when they know you have something and they know you have something to say and they know you have a whole bunch of Bina Hamada'ah, guess what they do? This is what they do. And because of the exposure wherewith he had exposed Samael. See, when you start exposing Shaitan and Satan and Mustama and Baalar and Satan and all the other beings and Asterisk and all the other demons, guess what they do? You start exposing Samael. And because through him the going forth of the beloved from the 7 Shamayim had been made known. He said, because of you, everybody know all about this other stuff. How in the world you going to tell all these people this stuff? Because now you done talked about the 7 Shamayims. So now everybody upset. Guess what? Had been made known, and his transformation and his descent and the likeness into which he should be transformed, that is the likeness of Adam. He said, man, why are you telling people this stuff? And the persecution wherewith he should be persecuted, and the tortures wherewith the children of Yasharal should torture him, and the coming of his 12 disciples, and the teachings that he should before the Shabbat be crucified upon a tree. What Shabbat are you talking about? Oh, you talking about the 14th day in between the suns? You know how they say that was a lie? Yeah, he had to die at the 14th day in between the suns before the Shabbat came in on the 15th, first day of the 15th day when the sun went down, when it was nighttime. But you know. But it says, be crucified upon a tree and should be crucified together with wicked men. That's why he said you crucified, you know how it says you crucified with Yahusha Mashiach? Because you're wicked men and women. Why was you be crucified with Yahusha Mashiach? Let me guess. I'm so righteous and true. I'm crucified with Yahusha Mashiach. If you crucified and you up there with Yahusha Mashiach is crucified with wicked men and women. That's the only reason he was up there. So you can say, I was crucified with Yahusha Mashiach. And you know what you're acknowledging? That you are a wicked man and woman. But you know what people say? I'm not a wicked man or woman. I never was. But guess what? And that he should be buried in the sepulchre. And the 12 who are with him should be offended because of him. Of course they were. What do you think they are? Was anybody with him after that? He's like, they're offended. Why? And the watch of those who watch the sepulchre. Why? Because he sent the women, they all what? They were offended. So you going to send a woman to come and tell me about him risen from the grave? They were offended. You think they weren't offended? How come you ain't show they're a man first? They were offended. But they had to happen, though, in order to fulfill what Yeshayahu say. Because, you know, he exposed Samael, Satan, Shaitan. It says, and the descent of the Malak, and they put here, but I don't know, which is the heavens, whom he will summon in the last days. But it says, and the descent of the Malak of the seven congregations, which is in the heavens, whom he will summon in the last days. They put the Christian church in here. But we know, and the descent of the Malak of the seven Shamay'ims, or the seven congregations, which is in the Shamay'ims, whom he will summon in the last days. We're talking about something that it goes beyond this natural world. What do you mean summon them? It's just like any others. How you gonna summon them? How do you gonna summon these people? Right, this is the book of Numbers, chapter 10, and verse 1. Numbers chapter 10 and verse 1. How do you summon? He say, we're gonna summon the what they call the church. Right? That's what they put in the sentence of Yeshayahu. But how do you summon? How do Malakim, Yasharal, Yahuda, Yahusha Mashiach, who from the tribe of Yehuda, how do they summon people? This is Yeshayahu, Numbers chapter 10, verse 1. Yahuwah spoke to Mashah, saying, make 2 silver Turah trumpets, or trumpets of hammered work. You shall make them, and you shall use them for summoning the congregation and for breaking the camp. Oh, so how are he going to summon them in the last days? How is he going to summon people to come? By the Katosara, by the Turah, by the shofar. And when it says, and when both are blown, all the congregations shall gather themselves to you at the entrance of the tent meeting. But if they blow only one, then the chiefs and the heads of the tribes of Yasharal shall gather to you. Why do you think when the Yahusha cried out, what did they do? The elders, the scribes, the Sadducees, the Parashim and the Zedokim all mocked Yahusha when he cried out the first time. They were mocking him. And when you blow an alarm, the camps that are on the east side shall set out. Why do you think Yahusha cried out? Why do you think the elders, the scribes, the kahans, the teachers, everybody were mocking, and the people were there at the same time? Why do you think he gathered all of them in Matthew chapter 27 all together in one place? They were all there. And he was crucified with wicked men. And all at the same time. The camps that are on the east side shall set out. And when you blow the alarm of the second time, the camps that are on the south side shall set out. An alarm is blown whenever they set out, but when the assembly is to be gathered together, you shall blow a long blast, a ruah teruah. But you shall not sound an alarm, you shall teruah. And the sons of Aharon, the Kahan, shall blow the trumpets, the teruah, the shofar. Right, so this is the book of Jubilees. The book of Jubilees, Pseudepigrapha, volume 2. The book of Jubilees, Pseudepigrapha, volume 2, chapter 10 and verse 1. The book of Jubilees, Pseudepigrapha, chapter 10 and verse 1. The book of Jubilees, Pseudepigrapha of volume 2, chapter 10 and verse 1. In the third week of that Jubilee, the polluted demons began to lead astray the children of Nuach's sons and lead them to folly and to destroy them. What do you think people are doing when they be putting all these things in these books? What do you think they're doing? To lead them astray, to destroy them. What do you think they're trying to do to you? It's sons of Nuach. Who are the sons of Nuach? Shem, Ham, and Japheth. What do you think the demons are doing? Why do you think the demons are messing up everything? That's what demons shadim do. They like to do that. Once they figure out what you know, your visions, and everything you know, then what they do? They come to scramble it. And guess what they do? And the sons of Nuach came to Nuach, their father, and they told him about the demons who were leading astray and blinding and killing his grandchildren. Why? Because iniquity of fathers fall upon the children. If one person in your lineage doesn't do it, it destroys the line all the way through down the line. Because where there is no vision, the people perish. Right? What is that? It's Proverbs chapter what? 29, I think it is. He said, man, that's what happens. That's what happens, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and 18. I knew it was Proverbs 29 and 18. Actually, go to 29 and 17. 29 and 17. Discipline your son, and he will give you rest. He said he will give you rest. You got to discipline your son and daughter. You don't do it. You ain't never gonna go to sleep. You know how you be trying to go to sleep. You be like, man, they won't let me rest. He said you got to discipline them. Why do you think Yahuwah disciplines us? So on the day of rest, he can get some rest. Because 6 days you labor and the 7th day you rest, right? Because you ain't never going to get no rest on the 7th day. You don't discipline them during the week for 6 days. What do you think going to happen on the 7th day? You ain't going to get no rest. You're going to be like running all over the place. That's why you got to discipline them already to the 7th day, so they'll automatically be in a disciplinary state by the time the 7th day arrives, so you can get some rest. Because if you don't, you ain't going to get none. Discipline your son and daughter, and he will, or she will give you rest. He will be delight to your heart. You'll be like, man, this is a day of rest, the shabath. I get to stop what I'm doing. Where there is no prophetic vision or vision, the people cast off restraint. When you cast off restraint, what do? You start doing anything. Nobody's restraining you. Nobody. But Barak is he who keeps the Torah. Going back to the Pseudepigrapha, Book of Jubilees, Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, Volume 2, chapter 10. In the 3rd week of the Jubilee, the polluted demons began to lead astray the children of Nuach's sons and lead them to folly and to destroy them. And the sons of Nuach came to Nuach, their father, and they told him about the demons, the Shadim, who are leading astray and blinding and killing the grandchildren. What do you mean blinding? They can blind you too. What do you think all this stuff is? It'll blind you if you don't understand. You don't know what you're doing with it. This stuff will blind you. You'll be blind. You'll be like, man, are we blind also? You'd be like Yahusha in the book of Yahusha, chapter 9, verse 31, to the last verse. Are we blind? Yahusha said, if you were blind, you would have no guilt. Oh. Because he come to open the eyes of the blind, according to Luke 4:16, right? You will have no guilt. But being that you say, we see, your iron, we see. I already know this already. Your guilt remains. He said, your guilt remains. It's still there. And killing the grandchildren. And he prayed before Yahuwah, his Elohim, and he said, Elohim of the Ruachs which are in all flesh, who have acted mercifully with me, and saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and did not let me perish as you did the children of perdition. Why? Because great was your con upon me. So when you're destroying the grandsons, why do you think it's dangerous for a woman to be led astray by demons? And then she take children away, and then they gone, and they're not keeping the pattern, and then what happens after that? Your children are blind, and they are destroyed. Because they left the pattern of the Torah, they left the pattern of the understanding of the pattern that they're supposed to follow from the beginning of the world, and they left it to follow you. Right? Like you say, follow me as I follow Mashiach. Great was your con upon me, and great was your mercy upon my soul. How did Nuach, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Nuach's wives be saved? They had to go on the ship with their husband. They had to be on the boat, the gopher wood pole. They had a kafar with their husband. That's what it means, kafar. They had to be there. They had a kafar. But guess what? And do not let the evil spirits rule over them. That's what's going to happen to you. They're going to rule you. Beelzebub is going to rule you. Asmodeus is going to rule you. It's just the same thing with Tobit. Tobit ain't want to take her. Why? Because you know why? You know why he ain't want to take her? Because Asmodeus killed 3 of her husbands. Why? How you think your husband just died from spirits? How do demons destroy grandchildren and men? You figure it out. And guess what? And do not let the evil spirits rule over them, lest they destroy them from the earth. They get inside of you and they destroy you. But bless me and my sons, and let us grow and increase and fill the earth. And you know that which your watchers, the fathers of these spirits, did in my days, and also these spirits who are alive. They still here. Please don't be thinking they ain't here. You could be talking to the son of Asmodeus, the son of Chamy'shy, the son of Azazel, right in your face. The daughter of Lilith. Shut them up and take them to the place of judgment. And guess what? And do not let them cause corruption among the sons of your servants. What? Among the sons of your servants, your Abad. And guess what? O my Elohim, because they are cruel, and they were created to destroy. I told you, Yahuwah got other things to do, other things to take care of when you do things that he hates. Because that's what they're doing. They're created to destroy. They're not created to do anything else. But guess what? And let them not rule over the spirits of the living, because you alone know their judgment. And do not let them have power over the children of the righteous, henceforth and forever. And Yahuwah Elohim spoke to us that we might bind all of them. And the chief of spirits, Mustama, came and he said, O Yahuwah, Creator, leave some of them before me, and let them obey my voice. See, whose voice are you supposed to obey? Because a lot of people are obeying other voices. How you say kol? He said, let some of them obey me. Some people have obeyed him too. And that once it's shadim on the inside of you, and that Mustama starts speaking, you obey that. You obey the prince, the chief that rules over you. When he talks, when he commands you to do something, you do it, and you walk in his light. Because you think it's light, and it's not. You walk in his orb. And guess what it says? And O Yahuwah, Creator, leave some of them before me, and let them obey my voice, and let them do everything which I tell them. Now you see why people obey demons. He said, man, you do everything the demons say. He's like, yeah, they do. That's why when they inside of you, that's why he talks about at the end of the age, when the demons co-sign the ageless fire, you also that obeyed it will also be co-signing the ageless fire. You yourself. Because you want to destroy it, and you want to destroy it. That's what you created to do. It says, because if some of them are not left for me, I will not be able to exercise the authority of my will among the children of Adam, because they are intended to corrupt and lead astray before my judgment, because of the evil of the sons of men is great. They already know their judgment. Mustama and his demons and everybody already know their judgment. They just trying to have a great time before it's time for their judgment. And as long as they're here, you yourself must guard yourself from them and their words and their commandments and their patterns and their understanding. Because you actually reading some things that are the sons of Penuel who wrote it. And guess what? And he said, let 1/10 of them remain before him, and let 9 parts go down to the place of judgment. Just that fast, right? He says, so why is all that important? Because it's important. This is the 23rd day of the 5th month. Chamy'shy Chdsh. This is the 23rd day of the 5th month. So we look at the 5th letter of the alphabet, behold, light revealed, illumination. All this is a part of it. And as moving out of it and moving forward, one has to understand in its totality why things take place and why Yahuwah does certain things and why he puts things in a certain pattern. Right, so this is Dead Sea Scrolls, Volume 2. Dead Sea Scrolls, Volume 2. Dead Sea Scrolls, Volume 2. 4Q 416. 4Q 416. Dead Sea Scrolls, Volume 2, 4Q 416. And it says right here, in favor of your neighbors, you have given all life with it. Quickly give so that he does not take your purse. Because when you do something to somebody and your neighbor poor, I assure you, they're going to take your stuff. But guess what? Do not in your affairs demean your ruach, and do not for any money exchange your kudash ruach. Because that's what some people do. Just for some money, they'll exchange for the kudash ruach. Because you be doing wrong to people, and because you want to swindle and extort somebody, then you exchange the kudash ruach for some money. That's why Yahusha said you can't serve Elohim and money. You can't. Because all it's going to do is kindle evil. And it says, for no price is adequate. So, some people sell their soul too. Give up their whole Ruach Kadash for a little bit of temporary life. And guess what? If a man is not favorably inclined towards you, seek his face, and according to his speech, speak. And what happens? Then you shall find your pleasure instead of your shame. He said, what? Keep going. Do not embitter him, and do not abandon your regulations, and preserve your secrets. Guess what it says? If he impose his service on you, let there be no rest in your soul, no sleep, nor sleep for your eyes until you have performed his commandments. Why? Because somebody asks you to do something, a job, or a service, or something that he tells you to do. He said, don't give your eye any rest until you perform his commandments. Why? Because he already commanded you to do it, or asked you politely to do it. And then guess what happens? You should not increase, right? And it says you should not increase. And if there is something to deposit, which do not let anything remain, even money without. Because you know your evil heart. I got to deposit some money. I got to do something for this person. He gave me a commandment. He's my master. So therefore, he gave me something to do, and I have to do it. And if I delay, it causes what? Maybe I should keep a little bit for myself. Lest he say he has thieved me, and it falls, right? That's what's going to happen. Because you delay it. He's like, man, he ain't put it, he was supposed to do that today. Did he do that today? Did she do that today? No, she didn't do it. So the only thing that person going to be thinking that whole night to the next day is, this person is Satan. This person is Shaitan. This person is not doing what I said, did not do what I said, which means they stole my money. They stole from me. Just by delaying things. And when you delay things, what happens? It creates things in people's mind. But here we go. And then it says, and see how great, it says, yeah. And do not let it remain, anything remain, even money without. It says, lest he say he has thieved me. And see how great is the jealousy, because that's going to happen. Man, it says, and man, the heart is deceitful. Right? Skipping over to verse 15. And you Be for him like a wise servant, and also do not demean your soul for what is not fitting for you. And then you will be for him like a father. And guess what happens? Do not reach for what is beyond the range of your power. This is what I wonder. It says, do not reach for what is beyond the range of your power, lest you stumble. That's what happens to a lot of people. A lot of men and women, they reach for things that are above their what? Their power, lest you stumble. That's what happened to Kuah in the garden. She just got created. What you need to knowledge of good and evil for right now? You ain't even got the power to discern yet. But then you know what happens after that? You stumble. You start stumbling. And your disgrace becomes exceedingly great. What do you think happened to Adam and Kuah? People still talking about him today. And guess what? Do not sell your soul for money. How many people have done that? Because he breathed into Adam's nostrils and he became a living what? Soul, a nefesh, a nefash. That's what he became. And how many people sold their soul for money? So you're going to be like Delilah. You're going to be like Judas, Yahuda. Yeah, they both sold their soul for some money. But guess what happens? It is better that you are a servant. It is better that you are a bod in the Ruach. You know, some people don't want to be a bod. And you know what happens after when you don't want to be a bod? You're going to sell your soul for some money. You're going to sell your soul for some money. I promise you that. All right, this is the book of Matthew or Luke. Go to Luke chapter 22. Luke chapter 22, verse 24. Luke chapter 22, verse 24. Luke or Yah 22, 24. Luke 22, 24. A dispute also arose among them as to which of them was regarded as the greatest. I mean, who is the greatest? And he said to them, the king, the malakim of the goyim exercise lordship over them, and those in authority over them are called benefactors. But do not so with you. Rather, let the greatest among you become as the youngest, and the leader as one who serves. Because you know, if you don't want to be a servant, you know what you're going to do? You're going to sell your soul for some money. Hey, Bob, you're going to. For who is greater, the one who reclines at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one who reclines at the table? They the one got the money. They got the money. But I am among you as one who serves. Going back to Dead Sea Scrolls 4Q2:16, verse 15. Do not reach for what is beyond your range of your power, lest you stumble, and your disgrace becomes exceedingly great. Do not sell your soul for money. It is better that you are a servant in the Ruach, and that you serve your overseers for nothing. He's like, why would I? He's like, you serving for what? Nothing. And for money, it says, and for money, do not sell your kabod, and do not mortgage your inheritance. He said, don't sell it. That's what you do when you mortgage something. You sell a part of your inheritance. How you mortgage? That's how you mortgage it. You sell a part of your inheritance to somebody else for the money up front, so you don't have to pay, so you can use it for something else. For it, lest you bequeath only your body. He said, man, how you gonna pay it back? Do not eat your fill of bread when there is no clothing. Do not drink wine when there is no food. Do not seek delicacies when you are in want of bread. And guess what? And do not take pride in your want when you are poor, lest you despise your life. He said, do not what? This is how I want to. Do not take pride in your want when you are poor. I want this, I want this, I want that. You're poor. Why are you taking pride in what you want? That's all you talk about. But guess what? It says, less are in want of bread. Do not take pride in what you want when you are poor, lest you despise your life. And also, do not treat with contempt the vessel of your bosom. Wow. This is all a part of it, right? So this is 1 Kings, Aleph Malachim, 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 1 through 46. And when Daud time to die drew near, he commanded Shalomah his son, I am about to go the way of the earth. Be strong and show yourself a man. He said, you're going to have to show yourself a man. Because you're coming in the steed, or he say in the image and likeness in my inheritance. You're going to have to be a man to rule over it. How is you going to do it? And keep the charge of Yahuwah, your Elohim. That's the only way you can be a man. That's the only way you can be a woman. I'm a woman. But do you keep the charge of Yahuwah, your Elohim? Or you keep the charge of your mother and the father who's a Hittite? He said, have you forgotten that your mother and your father was a Hittite? Because if you haven't forgotten, then guess what happens? You're going to keep their charge more than you keep Yahuwah's charge. You're going to keep their commandments more than you're going to keep Yahuwah's commandments. To keep the charge of Yahuwah, your Elohim, walking in his ways and keeping his statutes and his commandments, his rules and his testimonies. Not your past rules and your past testimonies. As it is written in the Torah of Moshe, that you may prosper in all that you do wherever you turn. And you say, why are you not prospering? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. But guess what? Because that's what people want to do. They want to see the prosperity, right? In that you do wherever you turn. It doesn't matter where you go. That Yahuwah may establish the bar that he spoke concerning me, saying, if your sons pay close attention to their way. So that's why when you just read in Jubilees, Noah had to pray against the demons in Mastama. Because that's the only way. How is the sons going to be able to prosper? If they're all destroyed and they're all being blind and lead astray by demons, how is this going to happen? The whole commandments and his rules, his statutes, and the law and the Torah and the testimonies are there to keep you away from demons. So you can see the shadim. So if a woman don't keep the commandments, the testimonies written in the Torah and everything in it, all it's going to do is they're going to be led astray by demons and destroy the sons. That Yahuwah may establish the bar that he spoke concerning me, saying, if your sons pay close attention to their ways. We talk about paying attention so much. You ought to pay close attention to the things you've heard already. But they refuse to pay attention. To walk before me in faithfulness and amunah, and with their heart and with all their soul in the flesh, because that's what you were made in the image and likeness. He said, Yahuwah breathed in Adam's nostrils, nefak, neshama, kai, nefesh. Or he became a living soul. With all your nefesh, you shall not lack a man on the throne of Yahusha. Why? Because that's why Adam was established. When he was first created. Adam was already on the throne. Adam was second to his father. That's what Shalom is right here. Why do you think Yahuwah made him in his image and likeness? And guess what? Moreover, you also know what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did to me. How he dealt with the two commanders of the armies of Yasharal. Abner, the son of Ner. You know Abner lay with his father, his concubine. Right? How you going to accuse me, Ishbosheth? Because Ishbosheth was a righteous man. Ishbosheth. He was a righteous man. But he said, how you going to accuse me of sleeping with my father's concubine? You going to try to condemn me? But Abner killed Joab's brother when they were having a competition. Because that's what competition do. Somebody ended up getting killed. They had a competition. And Abner killed his brother, and then Joab pursued him, and everybody pursued him. They were getting ready to fight Abner even more. Shall the sword devour forever? And Amasa, the son of Yether, because you already know what happened to him. Because Amasa supplanted, or was better than Joab in 2 occasions with Absalom and Daud. And he was put as commander over the armies, and Joab was not. And guess what? Whom he killed, avenging in the time of peace for blood that he had shed in war. You say, you went on ahead and you did something. You already some blood that was shed in a wartime when people were fighting, and it was a time of shalom, and you went on ahead and you started killing people when it's a time of peace. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a time of shalom. Because you're supposed to walk in peace. But nah, there was still some blood in your heart. You had something still in your heart. But guess what? He says, had shed in war and putting the blood of war on the belt of his waist and on the sandals on his feet. And guess what? Act, therefore, according to your hakma, and do not let his gray head go down to Sheol in peace, being that he did that in peace. Somebody was in shalom, and here you go, bringing up some blood. You want to try to destroy somebody. But he said, don't let his gray hair go down to Sheol in shalom. But deal loyally with the sons of Barzillai and the Gittite, and let them be among those who eat at your table. For with such loyalty there met me when I fled Absalom your brother. And there is also with me Shimei, the son of Gerah, the Benjamite from Baharim, who cursed me. Who what? Who cursed me with a grievous curse on the day when I went from Mahanaim. But when he came down to meet me at Yarden, I swore to him by Yahuwah, saying, I will not put you to death with the sword. Now therefore do not hold him guiltless, for you are wise men. You will know how you ought to do to him, and you shall bring his gray head down with blood to Sheol. He said, you're going to know how to deal with him. He said, you're going to bring his gray hair down the blood to Sheol. Who was it? Why do you think Yahusha was killed on totality? Right, so this is the book of Yeshayahu, or Matthew, chapter 27. Matthew 20, or Yukanah. Let's go to Luke chapter 23 and verse 1. Luke 23 and 1. Luke 23 and 1. Then the whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate, and they began to accuse him. They accused him of what? Saying, we found this man misleading our nation. What are they saying to him? They're saying he a demon. He said he a mustama. They're literally saying he's leading astray the grandson. He's literally leading astray the children. They calling him mustama. The chief mustama. And forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is Mashiach, a king. And Pilate said to him, are you the Malach of the Yahudim? And he answered, you have said so. Skipping over to verse 26. And they let him away and seized one Cyrene who was coming in from the country, and laid on him the cross and carried it behind Yahusha. And there followed him a great multitude of people and of women who were mourning and lamenting for him. But turning to them, Yahusha said, daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. He said, weep for yourselves and for your children. Why? Because Mastama and the demons going to destroy your children. Matter of fact, why? Why he said, for behold, the days are coming when they will say, Barak are the barren and the wombs that never bore and the breast that never nursed. Because the demons, Mastama, going to destroy your children. They ain't going to leave your grandchildren. They're going to destroy your children. Because they were created to destroy. Then they will begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and on the hills, cover us. For if they do these things when the wood is green, what will happen when it's dry? 2 other criminals were led astray to put to death with him, because he was crucified with wicked men. Skipping over to verse 44. It was now about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the whole land to the 9th hour, while the sunlight failed. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Yahusha, calling out with a loud voice, Abba, into your hands I commit my ruach. He said, I commit my ruach right into your hand. Why? Because he ain't love money to death. Matter of fact, he ain't sell himself for money for the Qahalath ruach. He said, man, that's a big exchange, isn't it? You think he would have been able to stay up on that totality with the Qahalath ruach, without the Qahalath ruach? He wouldn't be able to stay up there. He would have left. Father, into your hands I commit my ruach. And having said this, he breathed his last. When did Adam have breath in his body? When Yahuwah breathed into his nostrils, the breath of life, and became a living soul, nefesh. And he said, I give you back the breath in the Shama. I give it to you. All my intellectual, creative intellect and knowledge, Bina Hamad Aydah, I give it to you. Because you are my Father. Now, when the centurion saw what had been done in place, he praised Elohim, saying, why? Because when Nuach prayed, when they saw the demons leading astray, when the sons of Nuach saw the children leading astray, being led astray by demons, what did they do? They went to go tell their father about everything that was going on. And what did he do? He prayed. The father prayed to Yahuwah to deliver their son, and then the demons destroy his grandsons. Why? Because he says, Father, into your hand I commit my ruach. Because who else would you tell? Who else would you tell? Why do you think he wanted to go tell him? Into your hand, your father, Yahuwah, I commit my ruach. You got to go tell the father. Why do you think the sons went to Nuach to tell their father about the demons leading everybody astray? You got to tell the Ab. He praised Elohim, saying, certainly this man was innocent. He's like, they praised Elohim. He said, man, certainly this man was innocent. And all the crowds that had assembled for his spectacle, when they saw that he had what had taken place, returned home beating their breasts. And all his acquaintances and the women who followed him from Galilee stood from a distance watching these things. Because women ain't going to be nowhere near you when these things happen. They're going to be at a distance. Especially when you're going through this, they're not going to be nowhere near you. They wasn't even nowhere near Yahusha Mashiach. So what do you think? Man, it's going to be so many. They're all going to remember me. No, you see how far they were? They were far too. These were people who was at the scepter early in the morning too. See, when you're going through your trials, ain't nobody going to be around. I assure you that. That's why you got to trust in Yahuwah. That's why he said, in the Father, I commit my ruach. That's the only person I trust. He said, that's the only person I trust. I assure you, if you trust anything else, you're going to. Now, therefore, there was a man named Yusuf from the Yahudim. Right, going to Yuchanan chapter 18. Yukon chapter 18. Actually, go to Yukon chapter 19 and verse 31. Since it was a day of preparation, Yukon chapter 19, verse 31. Since it was a day of preparation so that the bodies would not remain on the cross on the Shabbat, for the Shabbat was a high day, the Yahudim asked Pilate that their legs might be broken, that they might be taken away. So the soldiers came and broke the legs of the first and the other who had been crucified. So he broke the legs of the first and the other who had been crucified. But guess what happened? He broke the legs of the first and the other who had been crucified with him. There's two wicked men. There's three people on the cross. There's three people up there. But when they came to Yahusha, they saw that he was dead already. Was already dead. They did not break his legs. But one of the soldiers pierced his side with a spear, and at once there came out blood and water. Why do you think Daud said that? He said, "Don't bring it." He said, "You shall bring his gray head down," in verse 9, "with blood to Sheol." Why do you think he did that? You know, the man who cursed. The one who cursed him. Didn't Yahusha just curse those women? He said, "Women, don't weep for me. Weep for your children. For they're gonna be the Barak of the day when you ain't got nobody had no children." He just spoke death on their whole. He's like, so you telling me all these people can weep for yourselves and your children? You see what these men doing to me? The iniquity of the fathers gonna fall right on the children, and you women, all y'all gonna suffer. That's what he said to me. That's what he said. But there's the thing about it. Going back to the 1 Kings, Aleph Malachim, 1 Kings chapter 2 and verse 13. Then Adoniah, the son of Haggith, came to Actually, going to verse 10. Then Daud slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of Daud. And the time that Daud reigned over Yashua was 40 years. That's why you think Yahusha was here for 40 days. And he reigned 7 years in Hebron. Carbon, why do you think you got 7 Moabites? And 33 years in Jerusalem. Why do you think Yahusha died at 33 years old? He died on his birthday, the day he was born. He just saying he didn't get to go to, he died immediately on 33. Like he didn't get to go to 33 in the day after. Like he was already gone. They killed his behind right before, on that day. But these are all a part of it. So Shaloma sat on the throne of Daud, his father, and his kingdom was firmly established. He said, man, it was firmly established. But look what it was firmly established on. Blood. Blood. It was firmly established on blood. Whose blood? Yahushua Mashiach's blood. Why do you think his blood was shed? He was established, firmly established on blood. And guess what? Then Aydahchay, the son of Haggith, but see, once you understand Yahushua Mashiach, they had to put things into action. Shalom couldn't hear the commandments from his father and then say, my kingdom's established because I heard the words of my father, and then sit on his throne and establish, and then afterwards don't do anything. He got to do everything his father told him to do. And guess what it says? Then Adonijah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Shalom. Bathsheba, the mother of Shalom, you know, the woman Daud committed adultery with. You know, the 7th wife he had. You know, the 70th Isha that he created peace from. That's what Shalom's name means. And he said, do you come peacefully? He said, peacefully. Then he said, I have something to say to you. And guess what he said? She said, speak. So you got a man coming to a woman asking him something. Then Ananiah, the son of Haggith, came to Bathsheba, the mother of Shalom, and she said, "Do you come peacefully?" He said, "Peacefully." Who was that woman when her son cursed in the camp from the Mizraim, Mitzir, man? Her name was Chamy'shy, right here. And her name meant peaceful. And she was made by the word of Yahuwah, right? She said, "You come peacefully?" No. He said, "Peacefully." Then he said, "I have something to say to you." She said, "Speak." He said, "You know that the kingdom was mine, and that all Yahusha fully expected me to reign. However, the kingdom was turned about and become my brother's, for it was his from Yahuwah." He's like, man, everything was coming to me. But then, man, you know what's going to happen to me? I was going to be king. And then Shalom, my brother, ended up getting on the throne. But guess what happens? However, the kingdom turned about and became my brother's, for it was his from Yahuwah. And now I have one request to make to you. Do not refuse me. She said to him, "Speak." And he said, "Please ask King Shalom. He will not refuse you." He ain't going to never refuse you, mother. You his mother. You know, ever have somebody come to your mother and try to persuade her to do something outside of your knowledge? You ever had somebody do that? Somebody come persuade your mother outside your knowledge about something about you? He will not refuse you to give me Aydahchay the Shumanite as my wife. He's like, man, I need that woman, man. I'm trying to get that woman. I need to get that woman. Ask another woman to help you get another woman. Ask another woman to help me get that woman, please. And guess what? And Bathsheba said, "Very well, I will speak to you to the king." He's like, you know, I'm going to talk to the king about this woman you want to marry. Because notice how he went to her first, and then she went to go tell the king about somebody wanting to get married to a woman, right? But here we go. So Bathsheba went to the king, Shalom, to speak to him on behalf of Adonijah. And the king rose to meet her and bowed down to her. Huh? And the king rose to meet her and bowed down to her. To who? His mother, his Bathsheba. You know, the woman that Daud committed adultery with, then Yahuwah killed Uriah and his son, and then Daud ended up marrying her, and then he had Bathsheba, had Shalom, and then now Shalom bowing to his mother. And he bowed down to her. Then he sat on his throne and had a seat brought for the king's mother. He brought another seat in. Bring another seat. And she sat on his right. Huh? She sat at his right. His what? His right hand. Then she said, "I have one small request to make to you." So this is the woman who committed adultery that Yahuwah forgave, and Shalom and Daud, right? She forgave her, and now she's sitting on the throne next to her son, whose name is Shalom, who's Daud's inheritor, right next to him on the throne at the right hand. How does a person get that type of mercy and forgiveness for their life? And guess what it says? Then she said, I have one small request to make to you. And what's that? Do not refuse me. And the king said to her, "Make your request, my mother, for I will not refuse you." And she said, "Let Aydahchay the Shumanite be given to Adonijah, your brother, as his wife." King Solomon answered his mother, "And why you ask Aydahchay the Shumanite for Adonijah? Ask for him the kingdom also? Wasn't he the same person who wanted to take the Mount Ku, the kingdom? For he is my older brother, and on his side are Abiathar the priest and Joab the son of Zeruiah. He's like, you connected to the very people who killed people, who messed up a lot of stuff that my father didn't like. See, you could be connected to people, but still, those same connections you got will stop you from being married. Because he was going to he's like, hold up, he connected to the very people that did some stuff to other people. And that can stop you from getting the very thing that you're supposed to get. Then the king Shalom swore by Yahuwah, saying, "Oh, do so to me, and more also, if this word does not cost Adoniah his life." Man, he's going to kill his older brother. Now you see why Yahusha say, if any man loves son or daughter, mother and father more than me, you're not worthy of me. The man he's going to kill his older brother because his connections with other people that did some evil. And guess what? Now, therefore, as Yahuwah lives, who has established me and placed me on the throne of Daud, my father, and who has made me a house as he promised, Adoniah shall be put to death today. He's talking about his own brother. So King Solomon sent Benaniah, the son of Yahudah, and he struck him down, and he died. He died that day. He died that same day. Because he wanted an Isha, but in order for him to, he said, I want to get married. I want that woman. I want to live a nice life and bear children and have a nice life. But you connected to people that are what? Evil. Who did evil to other people and killed other people. So how is that going to happen? And he died that same day. That's one person that died, because I put one. That's one person. And Abiathar the priest and the king said, go to Anathoth to your estate. Go to Anathoth to your estate, for you deserve death. He said, you deserve it. But I will not at this time put you to death, because you carried the ark of Yahuwah Elohim before Daud my father, and because you shared in my father's affliction. Huh? He said, even though he was with them, he said, you still suffered with my father. So therefore, you were there. So Shalom expelled Abiathar from being a Kahan to Yahuwah, thus fulfilling the word of Yahuwah that he had spoke concerning the house of Eli in Shiloh. But you know what Eli did? And his sons, and his whole lineage. But guess what it says? And when the news came to Joab, for Joab had supported Adoniah, although he had not supported Absalom. Notice how everybody connected to Joab just dying and losing their position. And they losing their kahan and their priesthood. Notice how everybody connected to him, everybody losing everything and being killed. For Joab had supported Adoniah, although he had not supported Absalom. He killed Absalom too. Joab fled to the tent of Yahuwah and caught hold of the horns of the altar, the Qahalath. He got hold of the four corners of the altar. He caught hold of the horns of the altar. Right? And when it was told King Solomon Joab had fled to the tent, we almost finished. Fled to the tent of Yahuwah. Behold, he is beside the altar. Shalom sent Benaniah, the son of Yahudah, saying, go strike him down. So Benaniah came to the tent of Yahuwah and said to him, the king commands, come out. And he said, no, I will die here. He said, I'm going to die right here. He said, come out. Why do you think they're trying to get Yahusha to come down from the cross? Come down from the cross. We'll believe in you. He's like, no, I'm going to die right here. I'm going to die right here. And guess what? And then Benaiah brought the king's word again, saying, Thus Joab, and thus he answered me. The king replied to him, Do as he has said. He said, Yahusha said, I'm going to die right here. Right here in the tent meeting, right here at Pesach. I'm going to die right here at Pesach. Do exactly as he says. Isn't that what Mary said to you about Yahusha? He said, all that he says to you, do it. When he came to the wedding feast. And guess what it says? Strike him down and bury him, and thus take away from me and my father's house the guilt of the blood that Joab shed without a cause. Oh, isn't that what they did to Yahusha? Isn't that what Yahuda did, or Judas did to Yahusha? They shed his blood without a cause. What was his cause? What did he do? He didn't do nothing wrong. Upon his Pilate, everybody already knew he ain't do nothing wrong. And they did it without a cause. What was the cause? What sin did he commit? Why do you think they did it? He was removing the blood and the guilt from Daud's house. That's all he was doing. Even though he killed 1, 2, and 3. He still. Why do you think Yahusha was on the cross with 3 men? Why do you think he was crucified with wicked men? Why do you think the 2 men were up there and he was up there with 2 other men? It was 3 men up there. He had to do it that way. Yahuwah will bring back his bloody deeds on his own head, because without the knowledge of my father Daud, he attacked and killed with the sword 2 men more righteous and better, or good, than himself. That word for better is ta'ud. He was just good. They were good. Than himself. Abner, the son of Ner, the commander of the army of Yasharal, and Amasa, the son of Yether, commander of the army of Yahuda. Why do you think they told Yahusha, if you be the king of Yasharal, come down from the cross. You be the commander of Yasharal, come down from the cross. You be the commander of Yahuda, come down from the cross. So that their blood can't come back on their head of Joab and on the head of the descendants forever. Women, don't weep for me. Weep for yourselves and your children. That's why we still punish today. People say, man, all the way to 2026 AD? Yeah, 2026. Why do you think Yahusha had to die? You had to come into the knowledge and then Bina Hamad Da'ak, and boom, you're back in the understanding that he removed the guilt from the house of Daud. So what tribe are you from? What matah are you from? Man, woman, what matah are you from? Because that's the whole point. What tribe are you from? And Amasa, the son of Yether, commander of the army of Yehuda. So shall their blood come back on the head of Joab and on the head of the descendants forever. But for Daud and for his descendants, Daud, and for his house and for his throne, there shall be peace from Yahuwah forevermore. There's going to be shalom. Because you got to walk in the way of shalom. And guess what? Then Benaiah, the son of Yahuda, went and struck him down and put him to death. That's 2. And he was buried in his own house in the wilderness. Huh? He was buried where? In his own house in the wilderness. It says, the king put Benaiah, the son of Yahuda, over his army in place of Joab. And guess what happened to Joab? Remember how many times Joab was supplanted in being commander over the army? That's the 3rd time. And guess what? He would put, even after his death, he still was not going to be better than nobody. to be over the armies of Yahusha. He still was not good enough. Even in his death, he was not good enough. But there's only one person that was good enough after his death to be over the army still. Joab wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough with a mesa with Absalom. He wasn't good enough with a mesa with Daud, and he ain't even good enough even after his death. And he put Yahudah over the army, and he still wasn't good enough after that. He never was. And he killed Absalom, he killed Abner, and he killed a mesa. And guess what? Nothing. You know what happens? He still wasn't good enough. That's what one has to realize. You never were good enough. You never were good enough, and you never were. Only person that was good enough was Yahusha Mashiach to be that perfect sacrifice. You never were good enough. That's man and woman. You never were. That's why he said they were better, more righteous, and better than him. Even Abner, slept with his father's concubine. And he still was better than Joab. And the king Zadok, the priest, in the place of Abiathar. Right? So you see all that. But let's keep going. Then the king sent and summoned Chamy'shy and said to him, build yourself a house in Jerusalem and dwell there. And do not go out from there to any place whatsoever. So you know who Chamy'shy, that's the person Qahalath, Daud, when he was on the mountain throwing them rocks. He said, man, let's cut off his head. The young man said, let me cut off his head. He said, nah, maybe Yahuwah will reward me good for the wrong done to me today. And guess what? He said, build yourself a house in Jerusalem and dwell there. He said, build one. But guess what? And do not go out from there to any place whatsoever. For on the day you go out and cross the brook Kudron, where? Qahalath Kudron. Where was Yahusha at when he crossed with his disciples? They crossed the Qahalath Kudron. Oh, you know, on the Qahalath Kudron, the first day to the 16th day, where you're supposed to cleanse the house with the Kohanim, and then you're supposed to go all the way to even Yahusha rose on the first day of the 17th day of the first month, and then he had to go to the 25th day, because Yahusha, you're going to either follow Yahusha or you're not. For on the day you go out and cross the brook Qahalath Kudron, know for certain that you shall die. What happened to Yahusha when he crossed the Qahalath Kudron? He said, what happened when he did that? He said, the day you cross it. He said, the day you cross it, you're going to die. Right? So this is the book of Yuchanan, chapter 19, Yuchanan, chapter 18, I think it's 18 and 1. Yuchanan, chapter 18, verse 1. And when Yahusha had spoke these words, he went out with his disciples across the Qahalath Kudron, the brook Kudron, where there was a gun, which he and the disciples entered. Now Yehuda, who betrayed him, also knew the place, for Yahusha had often met there with his disciples. Because you know that's what they're supposed to do in the first month. But you ain't no priest though. So Yehuda, having procured a band of soldiers and some of the officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, went there with lanterns and torches and weapons. Then Yahusha, knowing all that would happen to him, came forward and said, whom do you seek? Because he already knew. The day you cross over the brook Qahalath Kudron, you're going to die. He already knew you're going to die. Chamy'shy, you know, the one who Qahalath, Daud, he said, I already know you're going to die. So Yehuda procured a band of soldiers and some officers and the chief priests and the Pharisees that were lanterns, torches, and weapons. And Yahusha, knowing all that would happen to him, came forward and said to them, whom do you seek? They said, Yahusha of Nazareth. Yahusha said to them, Ani hu. Yehuda, who betrayed him, was standing with them. He already knew he was going to die. Do you? You don't cross the Qahalath Kudron. He said, how do you know? Because Yahusha told it to you. Because being that Yahusha told you about Qahalath Kudron? No. So you have a choice to either be Judas or follow Yahusha. You have a choice to be Yehuda or follow Yahusha, because Yehuda knew the place too. So you have a choice. Now you see how it's getting closer and closer and closer. Everything is getting closer and closer and closer. So you now have to make a choice who you want to be. It's getting closer and closer because nobody was saying nothing about it. But guess what? It's getting closer and closer now. And now guess what? Now you got a choice, because Yahudy knew the place too. So you can know about Yahusha Mashiach, you can know about Qahalath, you can know about all that, but you still can be Yehuda though. You can sell your soul for money. As the Dead Sea Scrolls said. You can sell your soul for money. You can exchange the Gudash Ruach for some money. Guess what it says? On the day you go out and cross the Qahalath, know for certain that you shall die. Your blood shall be upon your own head. You think Yahushua ain't know that blood gonna be upon his own head? Why do you think they punch him in the face and nabba you Mashiach, you hit me? Punch him in the head. How you think he ain't know that? See, there's a difference when you know what's gonna happen and you still gotta go forward. And Chamy'shy said to the king, what you say is good. Man, what you said is good. Why do you think Yahushua said, whom do you see? He like, what you say is good, Shalom. But you know, when your judges get thrown off a cliff, then you'll see my words are pleasant. Have you spoken about it before? Judge not, lest you be judged. And as my master the king has said, so will your servant do. Why do you think Yahusha did it? He's like, I'm going to do exactly what you said, not even understanding what he was saying. I'm going to go cross the Qahalath and I'm going to die. I'm going to do exactly what you said. He didn't even understand what he just said. So Chamy'shy lived in Jerusalem many days. How long did Daud rule over Jerusalem? 33 years. But it happened at the end of 3 years. How long was Yahusha's ministry? That two of Chamy'shy's servants ran away to Achish, the son of Makar, king of God. He meant two of his servants ran away. And when it was told Chamy'shy, behold, your servants are in God, Chamy'shy arose and saddled a donkey and went to God, to Achish, to seek his service. See, he forgot about the king's commandment. See how Satan set you up. You'll say what you're going to do, all that thou said we're going to do, and then he'll make you pursue something because it escaped you. That's why it talks about an unbelieving wife depart. Unbelieving husband depart. You're going to seek him out. You're going to forget the king's commandment. And then you know what you're going to do after that? You're going to mess around and cross the Qahalath. Oh. You know how people say? You done went to pursue the thing that escaped, that left. I know. And you messed around it. He said, I messed around and crossed the Qahalath. I done messed around and crossed the Qahalath. You know what happens after that? Behold, your servants are in Gath, and Chamy'shy arose and saddled a donkey and went to Gath, to Achish, to seek his servants. Chamy'shy went and brought his servants from Gath, and when Shalom was told that Chamy'shy had gone from Jerusalem and had to Gath and returned, he left and he came back. He left and came back to the same place, to Jerusalem. He left and came back and went to go pursue the thing that he lost, that ran off. He went and go pursued it, and he came back, and he crossed the Qahalath. And the king sent and summoned Chamy'shy and said to him, did I not make you swear by Yahuwah and solemnly warn you, saying, know for certain that on the day that you go out and go to any place whatsoever, you shall die? And you said to me, what you said is good. I will obey. Not even knowing, even Shalom didn't even know he was already obeying. Yahusha was already obeying what he said. Yahusha did it. Why do you think Yahusha did it? He obeyed what he said. I'm gonna do everything you said. Even crossing the Qahalath, even pursuing those who left. I'm gonna do it all. And I'm gonna obey. And Shalom thought he was actually condemning the man. But not even knowing, had they known Yahusha's testimony, they wouldn't have crucified Yahushua Mashiach. I assure you, if Shlomo was alive during that time, all that wisdom he had, if he'd have known Yahusha Mashiach was in what he just said right here, he wouldn't have been with those who killed Yahusha Mashiach. He wouldn't have did it. Because had they known it. But he had to be blind. Shlomo had to be blind during this time in order for Yahusha to fulfill it. Now you see why Samuel and Shaitan was upset. In the extension of Yeshayahu. He said, you know about the vision. You already know what he ready to come do. And he was hot. He was so upset. And he upset today. Because you know. And it's going to break the spell of the demons on everybody. And you know what happens after that? They're going to lose money. That's all it's about. You know it's all about that cash flow, that gold, that silver, and that shit. You look at all the gold and silver, you see all the money. Man. They just lost, how much did they lost? $902 billion just because people ain't drinking no more. Think about it. People say, man, I ain't smoking no more, I ain't drinking no more, I ain't doing that, I ain't destroying my temple. What do you think they're going to do? You messing up the prophets. You know, they ain't talking about prophet. We're talking about, that's the same thing with Esther, Hadassah. Haman trying to mess up the prophets of your kingdom. What? You trying to make me lose money? Right? What that king do? Threw that bag over his head, hung him on the gallows. Right? But that's just showing you, right? But it says right here, why then have you not kept your oath to Yahuwah and the commandment with which I command you? The king also said to Shimini, you know in your own heart all the harm. Say what? You know. See, that's the thing. You already know your evil and your guilty heart. Everybody knows. He said, you know in your own heart all the harm that you did to Daud, my father. You already know what you did. You see what you did when he came out? You were cursing him, Qahalath, throwing stones, saying all type of stuff. So Yahuwah will bring back your harm on your own head. Why do you think they were punching Yahusha in the face and beating him in the head? For him. But King Shlomo shall be Barak, and the throne of Daud shall be established before Yahuwah forever. Then the king commanded Benaniah, the son of Yahudah, and he went out and struck him down, and he died. That's 3 people. Why do you think Yahusha's on the cross totality? He was crucified with wicked men. It was 3 of them on totality. So the kingdom was established in the hand of Shalom. Why do you think Yahusha was on the cross for 3 men? Well, it was 3 of them on the cross. It was Yahusha and the 2 thieves. It was established on blood. And it was established on the death of 3 men. And they know Yahusha was already dead already. He was already dead. They pierced in the side, came blood and water. It was established on blood, and it was established on 3 men in totality. And they all died. He said, you remember what you did, though. You already knew this. But see, that's the thing. We already know what we done did. And you know the sad part? He knew what he did, and he went on ahead and sinned willfully. After he was forgiven. Isn't that what we do today? We are forgiven for our sins, but then we go on and sin willfully. But see, now you see why you need the Qahalath Kudrum. You went on ahead and crossed it anyway. I know, because that's what the priest supposed to do in the first month. Because in the second month, he said, and all those who hadn't purified themselves according to the sanctuary had to do it again. Because a lot of people don't understand it. That's the whole reason. Right, this is 1 Enoch, chapter 95, 1-7. On that, oh, that my eyes were clouds of waters, that I could weep over you, and pour out my tears like a cloud of water. And I could rest from the sorrow of my heart. Because if you withhold correction from a child, you ain't gonna have no rest. But guess what? Who has permitted you to practice hatred and wickedness? Who has permitted you to do that? My judgment over the judgment overtake you, you sinners. How many times you went and practiced hatred and wickedness after you've been forgiven for your sin? You already know your sin. You already know what you did to my father Daud. You know what Shalom said? You already know what you did to Yahuwah. You already know you sinned. But yet you go on and do it again. And practice hatred and wickedness. So you know what happens? That's why Yahusha had died again. Why do you think Yahusha died? Why do you think it was 3 men? Why do you think Chamy'shy had to cross the Qahalath and then he said, you already knew what you did to my father. You already knew you sinned already. And you was forgiven. And then you do it again? Now you see why Yahusha had to die. How do you think you cancel all that out? You'd be like, how do I cancel all of that out? How do I get rid of all of that? By understanding it. So when you go to court on the day of judgment, how are you going to get off? How are you going to get off on the court date when you go to the day of judgment for your willful sin after you receive the knowledge of the truth? Because you just did it. And then he said, you know what? Remember that guy, Chamy'shy? Yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, he got forgiven for his Qahalath, his cursing and everything he did, all the evil that he did, and he got forgiven, and then he sinned again. But then Yahusha came and crossed the Qahalath and ended up dying, and ended up rising again on the 3rd day, and ended up canceling out all my sin. How else you going to do that? Court's dismissed. People say, you're going to get off. You don't understand it. How you going to get off? And you don't do it. How you going to get off? You got to show for fruit, meat for things that are good for repentance. Do not fear the sinners who are righteous. Why do you think Ishbosheth ain't fear nobody? He ain't fear Abner when he said what he did with his father's concubine, and then when the men came and slew him on his bed when he was arrested, on his bed, they did that man dirty, man. You killed the man on his bed while he was sleeping. You did him dirty. Daud, when Shalom was sleeping, he ain't even killed him. He's like, man, you evil. And guess what? For Yahuwah Elohim will give them into their hands again, give them into your hands again, that you may pass judgment over them as you desire. Now you see what happened to Chamy'shy? Yahuwah gave him into his hand again to kill him, because he was supposed to have died the first time. Then Yahuwah gave him again while he crossed the Qahalath. He went against the honor and things that he said, that vow that he vowed, and he ended up dying. That's what happens when you say you sin willfully after your knowledge of the truth, you remain no sacrifice for sins, but expectation of judgment. So you either got a choice. Woe to you who pronounce curses that cannot be loosened. Healing will therefore be far from you because of your sins. Yahuwah gave him another chance. As long as he keep the commandments, as long as he walk in the statutes, he vows a vow, he keeps it. He does everything he said out of his mouth. Everything you said, oh Shalom, is good. Man, it's Daud. Woe to you who repay evil to your neighbor, for you will be repaid according to your deeds. Woe to you, false witnesses, and those who weigh out injustice, for you will certainly be destroyed. He's like, because everybody like a false witness. Think about it. When somebody convicts you in your sin and what you do, we got multiple witnesses against you, but the only reason they come up with some witnesses that just made up something is because of their own sin they're trying to cover up that they've done. So they got to take all this tension off of them and bring up some false witnesses on you. That's what they did to Yahusha. Why do you think they brought up false witnesses? So they can take all the attention away from the elders, the scribes, the high Kahan, and the priests, and take all the attention away from the things that they were doing wrong. So they can bring something up against him and get all the people attention on one person. That's a good thing. And had they not done it, we would not be here today. Woe to you sinners, for you pursue the righteous, for you will be given over and pursued. And now you see what happened. Why do you think Yahushua said, you know what, they pursued me all the way to the Qahalath Kudrum, even on the other side, and captured me. You know what, weep for your children, weep for yourselves and for your children. You men of injustice, and their yokes will be heavy upon you. Now you see why he said, man, they're going to put a whole yoke on your neck, and you're going to be heavy upon you. Who was supposed to have the ox? The ox supposed to have a yoke on his neck. Why do you think Yahushua said, take your yoke upon me, take your yoke upon me, and learn from me, for I'm meek and lowly, you shall find rest for your soul. And you won't go to the grave and with blood on your hands. Well, you should. You should have blood all over you. Innocent blood. That's what it is. It's innocent blood. It's just like you coming out of your womb to your mother, and you come out with all that blood and water on you. It's like innocent blood on you. You need naked you came in, and naked you're gonna leave. The way you were born into the world with blood and water on you, you need to leave with all that blood and water on you. Yahusha's blood and water. And you gotta leave out naked. The same way you came. The first man, Adam, was a what? Living soul. That's what you were born from a woman. Every man was born from a woman, but the second Adam was a life-giving ruach. Naked I came in, naked I gonna leave, with blood and water. Bring his bloody deeds upon his own head. He said, bring the bloody deeds of others and put innocent blood on me before I die. Because that's the whole point. You don't want to rise in the first resurrection without the blood on you. You know how man is born again? You're going to be born from the earth. From the Adama. The very Adama that you were born, you came out blood and water from a woman, but you're going to be born from the Adama like Adam. The dead and Mashiach are going to rise first. You're going to be born from the ground like Adam. Woe to you sinners, for you pursue the righteous, for you will be given over and pursued, you men of injustice, and their yokes will be heavy upon you. He said they're going to be heavy upon you. This is 1 Enoch 99, 11 through 13. Woe to you who spread evil among your neighbors, for you will be slain in Sheol. See, now you see why you need Yahusha's blood on you. Don't let bring his bloody deeds down. Don't let him go down to Sheol in peace. Woe to you who make a foundation of sin and deception, and who cause bitterness on the earth, for by it they shall be consumed. Huh? You know how many people don't cause sin and deception on the earth right now? And the Aydah, who call bitterness in the earth. You know how many people do that? Right now in 2026 AD? For by it you will be consumed. You know the shun, the 21st letter of the alphabet? He said, you're going to be consumed in all the bitterness of the earth. You see how much bitterness out here? You know, people's mind is consumed in it. That's all they think about. The bitterness of having to me, the bitterness of another person, and the bitterness of another person, and the bitterness of another person, and the bitterness of another. You know what that creates? A bitter world. Why do you think Yahushua had to take the bitter wine, the sour wine? Shall the sword devour forever, like Abner said? Woe to you who build your houses by the labor of another, and whose building materials is nothing but brick and stone of sin. What did Daud say about Joab's house? He said, when he killed Abner, he said, man, let all that blood and the blood that he shed, let it fall on him and his household. And everybody that's connected to him. I tell you that you will have no shalom. You ain't gonna have no peace. How was Shalom's kingdom established after all those people gotten rid of? After all those people were gone and dealt with, and judgments were handed down all through, from Abner, Adoniah, his older brother, from the priest, and everybody, it was established on shalom after that. Because that's what his name meant. His name meant peace. And amazingly, his name started with a what? How does Shalom name start? With a shin, and it means consumed. His name started with a shun. It meant consumed. Right? It's Sirach 15, 11 through 20. Say not thou, it is through Yahuwah that I fell away. He said, don't say that Yahuwah made you fall away. For thou oughtest not to do the things that he hated. You shouldn't do it. Whatsoever you do, whether you eat or drink, whatsoever you do, do all to the bowl of Yahuwah. If you do that, you'll never do the things he hates. But if you do it opposite, you're going to be, all that thou doest, and what thou sayest, and what thou doest, you do it all to the bowl of Satan, Shaitan, right? Or whatever you do. Say that not thou, he has caused me to err. Don't say it. For he have no need for a sinful man. So is that true? Does he have a need for a sinful man? Sometimes he do. Sometimes he don't. But in the case of Yahusha Mashiach, he needed a lot of sinful men. Matter of fact, he needed a whole bunch of sinful men. Even when it came, he needed a sinful man. Even with Shemini, who when he calls the Qahalath Kudron, I needed that sinful man. I needed him to do that, or you wouldn't understand it. I needed him to willfully go sin and go against everything, so he could die, so you can understand it. I needed him to do that. He said, I needed him to do that. I need people to slander. I need people to gossip. I need people to falsely accuse. I need people to false witness. How else Yahushua was able to deceive the world? Why do you think they call him Mustama and Satan? How is he even going to deceive everybody and to kill him? And to take him down? Because that was our salvation. How was he even going to do that? So, people say, see, that makes that, no, that's just how it's it's levels to this thing. Wherever level you at, that's where your mind is at. Yahuwah hateth all abomination, and they that fear all love it not. He said, don't fear. If you really fear it, you don't love it. You don't love it to the point where you will do it and continue to do it. Because when Daud was getting ready to kill Shalom, his heart struck him. He like, or kill Saul, his heart struck him. It stopped him right in his tracks. Because he was going to do it. After he cut that corner of his garment off. He himself made man from the beginning and left him in the hand of his counsel. He said, I left you in the hand of your evil inclination and your good inclination. You have good and evil. The very same thing, this person was more, they said he was better than him. They were more good than Joab. If thou wilt keep the commandments and perform the acceptable faithfulness, and that what Daud told Shalom, he have set fire and water before thee, stretch forth thine hand unto whether thou wilt. Before man is life and death, and whether him like it shall be given to him. Because death and life in the power of the tongue. Death and life is in what you say, in your language, in your lashon. Isn't that what happened to Shimon? He said, all that thou said is good. I'm going to do all of it. he had before him death and life, blessings and curses. Choose life and for thyself and thy descendants, right? But he chose death. That's why Yahusha chose death. For the wisdom of Yahuwah is great. Now you see why does Yahuwah have need for a sinful man? It's really great. And it's mighty in power. The thing it goes around in a circle. And beholding all things, he can see everything. Hakmah. All his eyes are upon them that fear him, and he knoweth every work of man. And he hath commanded no man to do wickedly. He said, I ain't commanding them to do that. But they did it anyway. Neither hath he given any man license to sin. He said, I ain't just... So what do he need a man to sin for? So he can show his judgments? I ain't give him license to do that. I ain't tell him to do that. I ain't give him permission to do that. But being that he did that, I get to show my judgments. Being that she did that, I get to show my judgments. This is Proverbs chapter 19, verse 3. When a man or Adam, when a man's folly brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against Yahuwah. Don't say because of Yahuwah that you fell away. Because when you do things with folly or luth, it brings your way to ruin. And you start to rage against Yahuwah because of the things that's happened to you. Don't say that in your mind. Think about what you've done. That's what people don't do. They don't think about what you've done. Use your makasba, your yetzer, and all the understanding. And if you lack wisdom, ask Yahuwah. And guess what? You'll be able to see what you've done in Yahuwah's great wisdom. So that word for rages is za'af. He said, when a man brings his way to ruin, his heart rages against Yahuwah. It's za'af. Because you know, af is what? Anger. Right? We know that from what? He breathed into Adam, the nostrils is off. But what else you see right here? You see the zan, which is sword, knife, wrestler, word, perfection. He using the sword, and he's angry with it against Yahuwah. What is he using? He's using a sword, a knife. You know what people grab when they jealous and envious? But Joab's ways was bringing him, he wasn't good enough. If you don't discipline your son, you get no rest. Isn't that what zan means? If you don't ever get angry at evil stuff, you ain't never gonna get no rest. You ain't, especially if you got children. He said, that don't do nothing to me. But these are all a part of things that he says, and anger ain't gotta always be a loud voice. Right? Some people, like Shalom, when he was angry at Shalom, what did he do? Or Saul, what did he do? He just ain't say nothing. He said, Yahuwah, how come you ain't answer me? Some anger is manifested in different ways. Sometimes Yahuwah has an anger when it comes to with a malaki. Starts doing things. Sometimes he just don't say nothing. Anger manifests in different ways. But it says to fret, to be sad. He starts getting sad when it comes to Yahuwah stuff. Wroth, vexed, to be enraged and be angry against Yahuwah. To be perplexed, troubled, to be sad looking. Why? Because your heart rages against Yahuwah. Why? Because now you've realized, why am I raging against Yahuwah? You should feel something. I have no emotion, like Equilibrium, the movie. And I do evil. It means to boil up. he said, you boil up against Yahuwah to peevishly angry. Why? Because Yahuwah starts punishing you, you start getting upset with everything around you instead of being upset and be sad looking for yourself. You start getting upset with everybody else by the things that are being done to you from Yahuwah. That's why being silent is important. Why? Especially when you're getting punished. Right, so that word for ruin is salath. You see, when a man rages against Yahuwah, it brings his way to ruin. That word for ruin is salath. It means to pervert, to twist. It be what? To twist. It makes your way twisted. It makes your way perverted. To ruin. Turn upside down, to wrench. To subvert. Overthrow. You start to become like Shaitan. What did he try to do in Mikal and his Malachim? You start to want to overthrow like a Thalia. To pervert. Right? You have perverted speech. Because that's what folly does. Eiluth. Right? Because Eil is what? Folly. Foolishness. Silliness. Eiluth. Eiluth, right? Because notice it has an Eiluth. It has a towel at the end. That's all four corners. And it'd be a sign in your forehead and in your hand. That's what a tooth means. And amazingly, these definitions don't even match the words, right? And you be saying, why? He said, that's why you need to know the Aleph, right? So that word, yeah. Actually, I think I said the other word wrong. I think that word was faulty, but it says that brings his rages to off. Yeah, I did say that. Rages against Yahuwah, right? Sad looking. Right, but that's all a part of it. Right, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 7:14. In the day of prosperity or good, be good. Because that's what that word for joyful is ta'ud. The day of good, be good. So you can keep your good. Be good now. And in the day of adversity or evil or ra, notice how he has good and evil. Consider or see. That word for consider is ra'ah. It says see. Why? Because you're gonna need to be able to see what's going on when you are in adversity. When you're in evil, when it was good, be joyful. But in adversity, consider or see. Yahuwah has made. Or Etzar, what do we see Etzar when he made Adam? The one or Zah as well as the other Zah. But notice how you got the Zah, right? And it starts with the Zan. The sword knife, rest, law, word, perfection. When it says, behold the sword knife, rest, law, word, perfection. He made, or Etzar, the one from the other. So that Adam, because that's what he made Adam, Atzar, because that word for man is Adam, may find out things, may not find out anything that will be after him. So what does all this mean? Right, so that word for consider is ra'ah. It means to what? In the day of adversity or evil, ra'ah, see, look, inspect. Start inspecting things in your life. Perceive, consider. To look at a gaze, to approve, like to discern, to distinguish. You have to see what's going on. I was good, everything be good. But then he said when it's raw, inspect. Start looking around. Start looking within your heart and your mind, your liver, your kidneys, your mind, your onion, your ears, what you're doing. Start looking inside of your inner man. Start looking inside of your life, who you're attached to, like Yoab. Who are the people that's in your life? Are you with people that conspire against other people, that murdered other people? I ain't talking about literally, but it can be just with words, or destroy people's mind. Are you a confederate with people who don't care about generations after? Because they sure don't, because they going behind your back talking to your mother, and then next thing you know, he's like, what are they talking about? Aren't they confederate with somebody else? Why is this person talking to you, mother? And this person confederate with other people who did evil to my house. Why are you confederate with them? Why are you talking to me about a person and you went behind my back too? The person went behind my back. He said, talk to my mother, and then my mother brought it up. And then now I remember that person connected to a whole bunch of evil that was done to my household, my father Daud. Why would I let him marry somebody from my family or be participating in anything in my family? And he's my older brother. He's my own family too. That's why Yahusha said, "My enemies, your enemies be there of your own household." And people be thinking that's like far-fetched, because wasn't Yahuda older than Yahusha? But Yahusha said, "Before Abraham was, I am." But it says right here, behold, you got to see, right? So that word for one against the other is zah. Notice how they got, the zah has a sword, knife, rest, law, word, perfection. It means, behold, the sword, the knife, the rest, perfection. But then they have the definition, this here, other than, now already, whence, thus provided. They put that, this, hence. Where does that give you that? When it starts with a zon. Sword, knife, rest, law, word, perfection. The other sword, knife, rest, word, perfection, as well as the other sword, knife, rest, law, word, perfection. So you have another two different types. The zon and the ha. Behold the sword. Behold the knife. You got two different knives, two different swords. You got a carnal sword and you have a ruach sword. Because it's one with the other. You got a carnal sword and you got a ruach sword. The carnal sword kill people, naturally. But the weapons of your warfare are not carnal. It's not carnal. It's not the first thing you pick up. It's not the first thing you think about. But they put this, that, in spite of this. Why? Because they lay crafty counsel against you, because you don't know anything, so then they use that against you, and they don't want you to know this. And they put it all, you say, man, what has this got to do with anything? That's what they do. But that's what it means. It says as well. So that word says the one zah as well as the other. That word for well is lamatha. Lamatha. Just as position, it means to close by, side by side. They right by each other. Why do you think Yahushua was in between two thieves? Alongside of parallel with. Why do you think they have parallel universes? You have the carnal world and you have the ruach world. With agreeing with, exactly, close beside. Conjunction, that is society. It means also along with. Right? But this is all a part of it. But what does this got to do with anything? Because everything has something to do with something. Nothing just happens, right? So that word for anything, Yahuwah has made one as well as the other, so that man may not find out what? Anything that will be after him. He don't want you to find out what? I don't want you to find out anything. What do you mean anything? I don't want him to find a speck after he has done what he needed to do. I don't want him to find a speck. Because you got to see it. You got to ra'ah, because you got to be able to see in order to see the speck. And the only way you're going to do that is through the zan, sword, knife, wrest, law, word, perfection. To behold the sword, knife, wrest, law, word, perfection. He set the one against the other, as well as the other. Because that's why he gave him a two-edged sword. And so you can't see the speck or point or something that is with negative or fault anymore in somebody else's eye. That's the whole point. This is Matthew chapter 7 and verse 1. Matthew 7 and 1. Judge not that you be not judged, or shafat. For what judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And what measure you measure, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye? So how are you going to get it out? Because you ain't supposed to have nothing. It's one against the other. But he said, but in the day of adversity, inspect. What's going on? In the day of good, be good. But in the day of ra'ah, see, inspect. Inspect what? Your own eye. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye, your eye? Or how can you say to your brother or sister or mother or father or sister or brother? You know what Shalom did to his mother? He said, I understand he came to you talking about a wife, but he conspiring against other people with other people who do evil. You think Shalom ain't see nothing clearly in that? How can you say to your brother, when he his older brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when there is a log in your own eye? He's like, man, there's a big old log in your eye. Go ask my brother if I can marry such and such. Don't you know, Adonai, my older brother, that there is a big log in your eye because you connected to other people who do evil to other people. But he said, you know what? You with them. He says, or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when there is a log in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the log out of your own eye. So then afterwards, what happens? Then you will see clearly. Then you will be able to ra'ah because you inspect it. Because you know how you have to inspect. That's what ra'ah means. When the day of evil, expect. You're doing evil. You need to expect yourself. You need to discern yourself. You need to see what's inside of you. The very same thing that those men did never do. That's why Shalom was like, these people won't repent. When there is a log in your own eye, you hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you see clearly to take the speck out of your brother, sister, mother, father, sister, brother. Marah, teacher, priest, Kahan. Didn't Shalom expel that priest too? That Kahan? Don't you say nothing to me. I know. You know how people say. They like Abner. Do not give dogs what is kudash, and do not throw your pearls before pigs. Why do you think he wouldn't give Adonai, the Shemonite, the woman to marry? Why do you think he wouldn't give it to her? He said, I ain't giving you. Do you know you confederate with other people who do evil? So if you confederate and you connected to them, what do you think will happen to this woman that you asked him to be married to her? She's going to take on the same punishment as you. I'm going to give my pearl, that pearl of a woman to you. And it says, unless they trample them underfoot and turn and attack you. That's why you think Shalom was thinking, man, he confederate with the people who kill other people. So I give him this pearl. This person gonna mess around and he wanted the throne too. And he want this woman, right? He want the pearl, though. But he going to turn and attack me eventually because he want the throne. You think that ain't going to rise up? And you confederate with Joab and the priest, the Avatar, at the same time? But Daud said, according to your wisdom, Shalom, deal with them according to your Hakmah. Deal with them. Because that's what they do. That's how much levels man and woman need to understand the Torah in order for you not to get caught up with Shaitan. Because if you do, you're going to find yourself getting caught up with Shaitan. Because he's lurking, and his devices are everywhere. Right? This is Psalms Talim 85, 8 through 13. Let me hear what all Yahuwah will speak, for he will speak shalom to his people. And his concede or his saints, but let them not turn back to folly or kitsalah. Don't go back to folly though. You know what happens when you do that? Hey, you lose. You start raging against Yahuwah. After you was kind and now you start raging against Yahuwah. Because Shaitan gonna dig up in your past. The only reason he doing that, he trying to find something to get you to react. He has to. Think about it. You call me shalom and kindness and you always been, he gonna have to find something to get you to react. I just need him to react. Surely his salvation or Yahusha is near to those who fear him. It's real close. The kabod may dwell in our land. That kabod may dwell in our land. Steadfast concede and amah meet. And righteousness or sadak and shalom kiss each other. They do. Faithful or amah, faithfulness or truth springs up from the ground, and righteousness, sadak, looks down from the sky. Chamy'shy. Yes, Yahuwah will give what is good, and our land will yield his increase. Righteousness, sadak, will go before him and make his footsteps. And go before him and make his footsteps a way. That's why Yahusha said, I'm the way. The word for folly is kislah. It means stupidity. Folly, stupidity, make you rage against Yahuwah. Your confidence in your folly, your trust in your silliness in a bad one, or you say evil one, a folly, right? That's what Shalom's older brother was doing. That's what men and women do. They trust in these things. And then it becomes, is that out of wisdom and knowledge and understanding, or is that just out of your stupidity? Hey, mother, your older brother came to me and said, can he marry such and such? I know he wanted the throne. It was counted to, he was the older brother, so he was supposed to be the ruler. But then Yahuwah turned it to you because it was promised to you. And now he's asking for an Isha. And mother, sit at my right hand right here. Now you see why Yahuwah gives a judgment. Yahuwah lied. I understand, Yahusha, you want to spare these people. Because that's what Yahusha is. He's at the right hand of Yahuwah. I understand you want good to happen to him. You want him to get any shot. But for some reason, Yahuwah, like, he's connected to other men who've done evil. I understand where you're coming from. Everybody deserves to have a good life. But he's connected to other men. And he wanted to try to overthrow the throne and take the throne from them. You see how Yahuwah look at this? Even though his son sitting at his right hand, even though his mother was sitting at his right hand, and granted, she was pronouncing good for him. But still. And that's what we be thinking, like, we want good for everybody. I want good. You want good for everybody. Good, good, good. But then he like, so what you're doing is evil. You need to inspect yourself. But that's the whole point of this whole thing, right? So that word for meet is pagash. It means to be joint encounter, to meet together, to come in contact with, to be. It says to concur. That's what's going to happen. The word for kiss is nashak. Nashak. It means to kiss, to be equipped, to handle, to touch gently. That's how you get a speck out of somebody else. Because anger ain't always got to be. It can just be like, Yahoo, I need you to go over there and just do what you got to do to this person that my father spoke. It says fastening up to kiss. It says equipped with a weapon. Uh-oh. You know what he did? You know what Joab did there, Mason? He kissed him, and he equipped with a weapon right in their hand. So that's why if you don't have kindness and truth in your heart when you meet somebody, and shalom, I say righteousness and shalom when you kiss each other. Why do you think when he came when the son who was trying to take the throne came to Bathsheba, he said, "You come in peace." Because they were meeting. He would come and meet with her. He said, hold up. You coming in peace, though? Shalom? Yes, peacefully. Okay, now you can talk. Because what's the point of me meeting with you if you ain't coming in peace? That's what man or woman. If you don't want to meet in peace, let's do this some other time. Until you get some truth and kindness in your heart, and some righteousness and peace in your heart, then we can meet together. Because if you meet any other way, you're going to kiss me, and you're going to have a dagger right in your hand. And that's what you call hukmah, wisdom. And it says kiss, literally, figuratively, to touch, right? This Proverbs 21 through 24. Whosoever pursues righteousness and kindness will find life, righteousness and honor. A wise man scales a city of the mighty and brings it down the stronghold in which it trusts. Because they trusted in their father. And he was trying to stop them from building a stronghold because his older brother wanted to take the throne of Shalom. The priest was confederate with Joab and they all were together. And he scaled a whole city and brought them all down. And then Shimoni, he cursed Daud, but he crossed the Qahalath, but not even understanding that all that fulfilled Yahusha Mashiach. Whosoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps his tongue himself out of trouble. That's the whole point. All that you said is good, King Shalom. I'm going to do everything, and I will obey. Not even knowing what he said. Scoffer is the name of the arrogant, and the haughty man who acts with arrogant pride. But he had to be put to death. Satan tricked him. He got him to leave, and he had his servants to leave, and he fled after them, not even knowing. It's just like how did Jared leave the mountain? They tricked him to come down from the mountain. How is he going to lead the mountain? How do you think they got Shimoni? How do you think they got Shantan got Shimoni? Your servants have escaped. Your servants has left. And he fled to go get them. Because you know when your servants leave, that means you got extra work. Man, please. I ain't finna be here by myself. I got to do all this work too. That man left there and crossed the Qahalath, boy, he was going to get them servants, boy. And he came back. Because he ain't want to be by himself doing all that work. He like, man, I got to go get them servants. Them Aydah. All that work I got to do with myself. And he messed around not crossing Qahalath too. And he ended up dying. But that was all a part of it. You can't be afraid. He said, even though the king's commandment was, don't leave Jerusalem. Why do you think he told the disciples, tarry here, don't stay here in Jerusalem, right? In Acts chapter 1, to be endued with power on high, right? Didn't they have to cross the Qahalath to do that? They didn't stay in Jerusalem. Had they not stayed in Jerusalem, they would have never got the Ruach, and then none of this stuff would, you would never have, how you say, a lot of things would never happen. Why do you think he's like, so you going to leave Jerusalem right now? Because your servants left? And Yahusha already told you not to leave until you get power from on high, out the stone. See, that's the whole point of this whole thing. And this is the whole point. Even though you got to do a whole bunch of work too. Verse 24, scoffer is the name of the arrogant, and haughty man will act with arrogant pride. Right, this is Psalms Talim, chapter 32, 6 through 9. Therefore, let everyone who is conceived offer prayer to you at the time you may be found. That's why he told him to stay in Jerusalem and continue in fasting and prayer all the way to the Kog Shabor. Surely in the rush of great waters, they shall not reach him. You are a hiding place for me. You preserve me from trouble. You surround me with shouts of deliverance. Selah. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go, and I will counsel you with my iron upon you. Right? So that word for godly is kasid. It means faithful, godly, faithful ones, kind ones. Right? This is First Enoch 94, 3 through 5. And now I say to you, the righteous, do not walk in the path of wicked and violence, nor in the path of death, because the wages of sin is death. And do not approach them, lest you be destroyed. He said, don't even approach it. Because the wages of sin is death. They're going to knowledge of the tree of good and evil too. He said, the day you eat of it, you're going to surely die. But love and choose for yourselves righteousness and a pleasing life, and walk in the paths of shalom, so that you may live and have simcha, joy, or good. Because you got to walk in the path of peace, shalom, so you can have good. Well, how is you going to get good if you ain't walking in peace, shalom? If you ain't got no peace and you try to meet with somebody, you ain't got no love and kindness, or truth and kindness, and righteousness and peace, and hold fast to my words, or you say, lay hold it with your yard, with your right hand. It's like Yaakov who lay hold of Malachi. I ain't gonna let you go till you barak me. In the thoughts of your hearts, and do not let them be eradicated. He said, don't even let them be eradicated or destroyed. Who tries to destroy them? Don't let the demons destroy my grandsons. Because they were created to destroy. Why do you think Shaitan come and take it out of your mind if you don't understand it? To destroy you. For I know that sinners will deceive men to treat Hakmah wickedly. For so that she will not find a place, and all kinds of temptations will not cease. How is it going to stop? Wisdom, Hakmah, has to be imputed. This is Aleph Yukanan 2, 24 to 28. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. And what you heard from the beginning in Bereshit, Rashid, abides in you, then you too will abide in the Son, the life of the house, and the Father, the strength of the house. Wasn't it Shalom of the Son? And wasn't Daud the Father? And this is the promise he has made to us, eternal life. What do you mean promise? I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you, but the anointing you receive of him abides in you, and you have no need that anyone should teach you. But as his anointing teaches you about everything, it is true and is no lie, just as it is taught you, abide in him. Daud already told Shalom, you don't know what to do by your Hakmah. You don't need nobody to tell you that. He did. He said, you're going to know by your Chachma what to do with Shemini. Didn't he say that? You don't need nobody to teach you. He already knew what to do. He said, you know about your wisdom. I thought Shalom already had wisdom. Well, I thought he had wisdom already. He had wisdom already, but he needed more wisdom to rule over them people, though. Oh, he had to ask Yahuwah for even more wisdom. Because when things started to elevate and Satan started to get more and more, he'd be like, man, I need more wisdom, boy. This thing getting serious around here. All right. You need more Hakma. If he was like, I don't need, man, this thing getting serious out here. It's not a game. Not no more. But you got to understand a whole bunch of other stuff now. This ain't no game. People think it's a joke. Man, there's a whole bunch of things you don't know. And you getting taken advantage of. You have no idea what y'all touch. People touching, what you interacting with. And now little children abide in him, so that when he appears, you may have confidence and not shrink from him in shame at his coming. Right, this Dead Sea Scrolls. This Dead Sea Scrolls. I think I'll send here. This volume 2. It's the Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls, Volume 2. I think this is. Yeah, Volume 2. This is 4Q 511. 4Q 511. 4Q 511. 4Q 511, fragment 35. Elohim, Yahuwah Elohim against all flesh, and a judgment of vengeance to exterminate wickedness and to vent. Yahuwah Elohim's wrath against those who have been purified 7 times. It says Elohim's wrath against those who have been purified 7 times among the Kudash ones. Elohim Yahuwah makes some Kudash for himself like an everlasting sanctuary. And there will be purity amongst those purified. And they shall be priests, or Kahan, they shall be priests. His just people, his army and servants. And the Malakim of his kabod. And they shall praise him with fantastic marvels. As for me, I spread the fear of Elohim in the ages of my generations, to exalt the name and to terrify with his power all the spirits of the bastards, to subjugate them by his fear, not for all eternal times, but for the time of their dominion. Right, so what is the other part? But he said he's going to purify the priests. So what was the priest's inheritance? Is Yahuwah and the promises. That was the inheritance. The inheritance was the debar. And he says, and they shall be priests, his just people, his army, his servants, and the Malakim of his kabod. And they shall praise him with fantastic marvels. Right? He's talking about the fantastic folk, but that's exactly what they're trying to get you to understand. But we ain't talking about that. But here we go. This fragment 30, verse 4. Can perhaps the waters of the deep and the gauge in the hollow of man's hand, what is that? Kaf. And the span of the Chamy'im be calculated in palms? You know how people say. Who in a bushel can hold the dust of the earth, weigh the mountains with a scale? Can you do that? With your hand? Or the hills on the balance? Can you grab a whole mountain and measure it on the scale? Your hand ain't even that big. But there's somebody's hand who is big like that. He got a yard, man. That thing hold the whole Kima and the Ketsil, right? The whole Kima galaxy right there in his hand. Think about it. Man does not do these things. Adam does not do these things. How then can Adam measure the spirit, the ruach of Elohim? See, you can't even measure a mountain with your 2 hands. So how you gonna measure the ruach? Because a lot of people think they can measure it. You can't measure it because you can't measure it in nobody else. Can you pick up a whole mountain and measure it and put it on the balance scale and then measure the Himalayas, what they call the Himalayas, in the K2 mountains and put them next to each other and measure out which one heavier than the other. Or the mountains underneath the earth that sunk in the ground during the quake shift that happened, and they've sunk down to the ground. The ones that are bigger than the Himalayas, they ain't telling you about, and the ones at the top. No, you can't measure that. Sirach 3, 17 through 23. My son and daughter, go on thy business and ain't new. So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high places of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the Anu, the meek. For the power of Yahuwah is great. Man, he can measure out mountains. He can measure out hills. Matter of fact, man, Adam, can't even measure the Ruach. And is honored with the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men, women, and children understand. So we look at all that. We look at Yahusha Mashiach. We look at the light of life. We look at the true ore that lighteth every man that conquered Kashak, Yahuwah Elohim, and his son Yahusha, the one who gives life and understanding to our inner man, our inner being, and our inner thoughts, that we no longer walk according to the paths of darkness and Kashak, but according to light, that we may live according to and be Aydahchay, be created in Yahuwah's image and likeness, and to walk even as Yahusha walked, who did no sin, no kata, no kata'ah, neither was deceit found in his mouth, nor any grudges, nor any swindling, extortion, nor any lying, nor any type of underhanded or ikab acts, nor did he walk in any type of unrighteousness in the earth. For Yahuwah was inside of him. He was inside of him, living inside of him. So we live in this world, we are not of it. And as long as we live in the world, we're not to walk as the nations do. But he says, mainly, don't be associated with a brother or a sister whom you know is a swindler, an extortioner, an sexual moral. A person who tries to do things that are evil in Yahuwah's sight. He said, if you don't do it in the world, you're going to have to go out of the world. But he said, don't associate with those who call themselves a brother. Why do you think Shalom looked at his brother the way he did, his older brother? And he said, you confederate with those who are evil. So we look at ourselves and we look at our inward man. Right? This is the last thing, and I'm done. Right? So this is the 4Q. This is 4Q 429. 4Q 429, column 6, Dead Sea Scrolls, page 903. It says strength, so that he is unable to remain firm in his place. But it says, they have overtaken me in the narrow place where there is no escape and not. They announce the charge against me with the harp. Their grumblings were verses in harmony. They were in one accord. With demolition and destruction, resentment has taken hold of me, and pangs like the labors of a woman giving birth. My heart is in turmoil within me. I have dressed in black, and my tongue sticks to my palate, because they surround me with the calamity of their heart, and their intentions appear to me in bitterness. The light of my face, my panim, has become gloomy and deep darkness. Countenance has changed into gloom. And you, my Elohim, have opened a broad space in my heart. But they have increased the narrowness and have wrapped me in darkness. I am eating the bread of weeping and drinking, and my drink is tears without end. My eyes are blinded by the grief of my soul, by the bitterness of the day. Agony and pain surround me. Shame covers my face. My bread has turned into quarrels, and my drink into argument. Why? Because that's all people sowing in my heart and my mind. See, when you're in around these things, all these things that if people find, they got all these accusations and things to say about you, things that you've done. He said, man, all I hear is quarreling. I'm supposed to be eating bread, lakam, the bar. The only thing I hear in my heart and my mind is quarreling and arguments. Trying to prove myself to be righteous, tzedakah. The only thing I can do is, all I hear is that. They have entered into my bones and make my ruach stagger and make an end of strength in accordance with the mysteries of offense. It's all mysteries. You don't even know if it's true or not. It's all mysteries that they say. But guess what? Now you're starting to stagger because they want to get you drunk with argument and quarreling. Because they who by their guilt have altered the deeds of Elohim, for I am tied with ropes. He said, man, I'm tied up, which cannot be untied, with chains which cannot be broken. A strong rampart surrounds me, iron bars and bronze doors, which cannot be opened. My Geol is comparable to the deep without their being. That's what it says. Why? Because it's just like darkness. Just like the beginning of the world, when Yahuwah made the world and it was deep darkness. But what did he send to send light? The commandment is a lamp, and the teaching is an oil. And correction and reproof is a way of life. And that's what gives you light. In the midst of darkness, with a bronze door in prison, with quarreling and argument about controlled mysteries about your life that people don't even know if it's true or not. And these are all the things that Shaitan does. But not even knowing that darkness, even Yahusha had to be in darkness from the 6th to the 9th hour. So therefore, he said, let the knowledge of Yahusha Mashiach rest upon you, and not your own knowledge. For we live in this world, we are not of it. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek, the Anu, shall inherit the Adas.